Hello, and welcome to Stabler and Friends podcast. I'm your host, Stabler. It's January 3rd, 2022, and I'm ready to talk some sports. As promised, I figured out the NFL playoff scenario and what each team needs to get in. We'll go over that. I'll talk a little Utah Jazz basketball, and when I say little, I mean very little, but we'll get into it a little more as we go on. And I will respond to some hate mail from friends about the mean things I said about the underdog college football teams, particularly Cincinnati and them letting everybody down, including the 2008 Utes, and got a lot of backlash for that. So starting off, let's jump into the NFL playoff scenario. The opportunities for multiple AFC teams were lost yesterday after the Chargers beat down the Broncos. If the Broncos had won, next week would have had 7 legit contenders battling for the final 2 playoff spots. The Broncos and Packers are notorious for ruining my seasons and all my hope, and they both succeeded in taking out the excitement for me yet again for the NFL playoffs. With that Broncos loss, Denver, Cleveland, and my Miami Dolphins were eliminated from contention. The final 2 spots are still up for grabs, but it's down to the Colts, Chargers, Raiders, an outside chance for the Ravens, and depending on tonight's game, the Pittsburgh Steelers could have a shot. Tonight is likely Big Ben Roethlisberger's last night in Heinz Field. The Browns, although they're out of contention, have a chance to play spoiler for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that might be the second best thing for the Browns fans after making the playoffs. There is no love lost between these two teams and their fans. Pittsburgh is in the playoffs if they win tonight against the Browns, and then they need to win again next week against the Ravens and have the Baltimore Colts lose. No, Indianapolis Colts lose. Excuse me. The Baltimore Ravens are in with a win against Pittsburgh next week and a lot of help. So if Baltimore does win next week, they would need to win plus have losses by the Colts, Browns, Chargers, and Dolphins week 18. That'd be quite the parlay. I say, all my degenerate gamblers, let's do it. Don't know what the odds are, but let's throw down. The Colts, they have a much easier way. They win, they're in. They're playing Jacksonville, so it's looking good. If they lose, they can still make the playoffs. It would be if Pittsburgh loses tonight and then Pittsburgh beats Baltimore next week, the Colts wouldn't have to do a damn thing and they just sit pretty and they go to the playoffs. But I'm thinking the Colts likely will get in. Let's see. Big game. Last game of the season. To finish off the regular season, we have the Raiders versus the Chargers. Sunday Night Football on NBC, and the winner of this game is in. Chargers have to win to get in, so no other choice but to win. The Raiders, guaranteed if they win, they're in, but they still could make the playoffs if, let's see, the Steelers lose either of their 2 final games, so they either lose tonight or next week, and the Colts lose, so they'd hold the tiebreaker over those teams. So a lot of Browns fans from other teams tonight. Got the Raiders being Browns fans. Looks like the Colts are Browns fans. Ravens, yep. Kind of weird to say that, but it's true tonight. That is our scenario on the AFC side. The NFC side is much, much less complicated. It's down to basically the 49ers and the New Orleans Saints. 49ers, if they win, they're in, or a Saints loss. The Saints need to get in with a win, and the Niners have to lose. So that is our scenarios for football. I am looking forward to a lot of these games. Like I said, the spunk kind of got taken out a little bit by not having the Dolphins or the Browns in. But there's always next year, and like usual, I'll be looking forward to the NFL draft as usual. I don't think I've done it yet, but I need to give a shout out to John Madden. I am one of the people that started liking sports strictly because of video games. 3 things that made me a sports fan. Number 1, I liked hanging out with my dad and his friends watching games, but I didn't care about the games. Really, really liked playing video games, and I really liked Ace Ventura with Dan Marino in it. But playing Madden and triple play baseball is the reason I got into sports. I rented a game. I would get to know all the players. I put all the stacked players on one team, talk to my dad about them. And I don't think if it wasn't for the Madden video games, I would even be a big sports fan like I am. So kind of crazy to think about that. Man, we got a bus outside and helicopters. I got to close this window. Excuse me, guys. Get these windows open so it doesn't echo as bad, but then I open it. We got rush hour on 300 East. Who would have thought? But anyways, I know Madden has done a lot more than just sponsor a video game, but that was a lot of what he meant to me. I've heard the stories from my dad. I've listened to him growing up on the sports casting and things like that. And just as a little boom, never understood what he was drawing. Just looked like a bunch of circles and lines to me. But shout out to John Madden. Fun story that I heard today. Did you guys know that before they offered John Madden the sponsorship for Madden football, they went to Joe Montana and he had to turn it down because he already had a deal with Atari. So there you go. Could have been Montana football for all these years, but nope, it's Madden. Okay. I want to talk about the Raiders a little bit more too. What a season. What a weird season they had. They had that Monday night game to start it off. I believe it was against the Ravens that seemed like nobody wanted to win. They stopped them on the goal line with a fumble, ended up getting the win, which turns out at the end of the season to be just as important as at the first game of the season as the last game. So they had Henry Ruggs kill somebody in a car accident. They had their coach, a bunch of emails came out of him saying not very politically correct things, and he resigned or got let go and is trying to sue the team for defamation. I'm not sure where we're at with that, but anyways, to deal with all that adversity and still be in contention for the playoffs, like that is a major feat. So shout out to all the Raiders fans listening, and best of luck to you guys on Sunday night. It'll be the NBC game. Okay, a little prep for that. I'm sure we'll be talking a lot more about NFL because I'm only on day 3 of my podcast, of a daily podcast for a year. And I feel like I'm already kind of reaching to talk about things, but all I need to do is get in a half hour a day and we're good. So we're still pushing on. This is about the time of year for me that I start watching the NBA more. I like the NBA. I don't necessarily love it as much as I used to, but I do enjoy it. I do enjoy talking about it. I just have so much invested in football right now. And then when the baseball season starts, I have it invested in there. So from January to March and a little bit through the playoffs, I'm very invested in NBA, but that's about as far as I go. Big Jazz fan, slight Charlotte Hornets fan as my backup team. But I wanted to talk about the Jazz. From what I've seen, I do still watch a lot of games. What I have seen, I believe the Jazz have a chance to win the championship this year if they can stay healthy. I hope they can get some wins under the belt against teams like Phoenix and Golden State. We got to build that confidence. I don't know if they can go in to the playoffs and win a 7-game series if they don't know that they can beat them, and still feel like they're trying to draw up the plays or back to the drawing board and things like that. So a couple wins under the belt would really help. Let's see. That's all I have for NBA right now. Please stick around if you're NBA fans. I'll feed you baby birds, I promise. Next few months, I'm really going to get into it. I'll get some guests on that know what they're talking about. We'll have a good time. Finally, for the day, this is a quick podcast again, under 30 minutes. I'm responding to the hate mail from my friends. I said on social media that I hope they do not consider the non-Power 5 conference teams in the NCAA playoffs anymore. That would be teams that are outside of the Pac-12, Big 12, ACC, Big 10, and SEC, because they have to play hard schedules all year. They have the highest starred recruits, and I think that I want the best out on the field, and I think that's what it provides. And I don't think that these non-conference teams that play a bunch of nobodies deserve to just walk into the championship playoffs every year because they beat the Rhode Island Culinary School. It's not fair to these teams that have to beat each other up every week. Yeah, so I did mention all the teams in the past and future were relying on Cincinnati, who lost by more than 3 scores to Alabama on Friday, excuse me. And I stand by that. I mean, I'm looking back to Boise State. I mean, Kellen Moore proved that he can't be an NFL quarterback. I can't imagine him going against these big boy defenses to get through 2 games in a row. I mean, it would have been fun, I guess, when the playoffs were around, but still, I think where Cincinnati was the big dogs, that sounds like the same narrative every single year, that give these guys a chance, and then Cincinnati didn't capitalize. So anyways, I think the same about TCU and Central Florida. I think the only team that I would have considered, and I don't know if this is because I am a Utes fan, but the 2008 Utah team, because of their coaching scheme with Urban Meyer, and they had Alex Smith at quarterback, but I still don't know if I would have put them in the playoffs when they were around, if they were around in 2008. I stand by my comment about Cincy representing those teams, because the NCAA committee, this isn't just me, guys. Like, I'm not the one that's making these rules, but the NCAA committee does not want these small teams in the playoffs, because the revenue is significantly lower if a team like the Bearcats won. It would force the committee's hand. If they would have won, they could have said, hey, look, we did it. We deserve to be here. You're going to have to put us in every time. Let's see. But now the committee, they really honestly can say that these teams don't belong, and they have proof. They just show that game between Alabama and Cincinnati. I know that's a small sample size, but I think it might be just enough that the committee needs to continue to use that as a crutch and put the big boy teams in there. Other messages that I felt personally attacked included people talking about how this championship game between Bama and Georgia is boring and we don't need to see the same teams each year. My question to these people, why don't you want the best teams in the championship? Like, who cares if it's the same 2 teams? It's not like the NFL. It's not like you're getting Brady every single year. You're getting new young kids that are hungry for championships. They only play 1 to 4 years. I mean, who knows what their career is going to be like if they want to leave early for the draft or whatever, but it's new players every single year. These are going to be players that you'll see dominate in the NFL, and you have the opportunity to see them grow, like start watching them while they're young. These are games that, like, you can watch on ESPNU a few years down when they're classic games, and you'll say, oh, I know this guy. I know that guy. I know Bryce Young. I know Jameson Williams. Like, you could go back, watch some Derrick Henry. You could watch some Tua Tagovailoa. Like, there's a lot of people to watch, even though it's Bama, the same Bama team every year. It's different players. The only thing that's the same is Nick Saban, pretty much. I just kind of soapboxing here because I love college football. I love these championship games. Bryce Young, Heisman Trophy winner, probably going to be arguably first overall quarterback pick next season between him and CJ Stroud. They have a receiver that's going to get drafted this year named Jameson Williams. If you're an NFL fan and your team needs a receiver, like, watch this kid. He is an amazing route runner, probably one of the fastest guys I've seen. I don't know, like, he looks like, maybe it's in comparison to other players on the field, but he looks like Tyreek Hill out there, just zooming past everybody. So I'd hate for you guys to miss out on that because it's not the city that you want or the jersey colors you're into. But I recommend just taking it for what it is. Enjoy it. It'll also help the build for when a new team does decide to step up. I mean, how long have we hated teams like Tom Brady, like a Patriots Tom Brady team? Tom Brady Patriots team, that sounds better. And then, I mean, we're not all Eli fans, but I think a lot of us really wanted Brady to go down. And how cool of a game was that when the undefeated Patriots got knocked down? So maybe in the future, you can build your hate against Alabama and Georgia and somebody will knock them down. Maybe. The honest truth is I want more teams in the playoffs. I think that it would shut me up. It would shut up a lot of other people that don't need to talk about it. I prefer 8. I think that's the correct number of teams. I don't think 9 through 12 is really that much of a difference. I think if you're that low, you've messed up throughout the season long enough that you don't deserve to be there. I think they are suggesting a 12-team playoffs, but hey, that's more football. I'm cool with that. we'll talk more about it. Please respond and let me know what you think. Uh, that's our show. Thanks for tuning in. Please tune in tomorrow when we follow up on the Browns and Steelers game and anything else that could happen in the next 24-ish hours. This has been Stabler and Friends. I'm Stabler, and thanks for being my friend.